Hey everybody, it's Thursday.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily. And we are late this evening. It's Thanksgiving, and honestly, we had planned this show and then changed our own Thanksgiving plans. So, the way that kind of sometimes you wing it through the holidays is the way that we're going to kind of wing it through this episode, and it's going to be great. And with that being said, happy Thanksgiving to everybody at home. It's really been a great day. We got together with family. We deep fried a turkey. We had all of the great sides and saw all the people and the things and the stuff. So let us know how your Thanksgiving is going because we are interested in that. As far as fishing report, that's usually what we start with. And I think, the last time that we were with you guys, it was Tuesday, and we were able to give a fishing report at that point, and it was a little bit more relevant. So go back, watch that episode. And because at this point, things are changing fast. People are looking forward to ice and that cold weather that people have been like alluding to. Ooh, it's coming, the last few weeks. It seems to be here. Or at least the beginning of it, right? So we're down farther south than normal. We are closer to the Chicagoland area, and there is not any ice as far as lakes and water bodies that we passed. Honestly, it was a beautiful day, but I know that way up north it is starting to get quite cold, especially those evening temperatures. And I know that water temps, when we were last out a week ago, it was below 40. That's how the ice pattern sets up.
Yep, gonna get cold here. We got some cold weather coming in tonight over the next couple days. We'll get some ice. Hopefully it holds out.
And I guess we're going to be exploring around as possible throughout the weekend, but it is going to take a few more days. So if you are out looking for ice now, I hope that you are way north, right? But for people who are joining us, let us know where you're at. Let us know if you have ice because we are looking forward to that. I also have to say, this conversation, tonight's guest leads us perfectly into ice season because, well, it's exactly an ice fishing. I was going to say product. You're not a product. Jamie, you're ready on. Yeah, you're ready on the screen here. So normally we bring our guest in, but because we're traveling, we're doing this mobile. So thanks for sticking with us. But Jamie, thanks for being here with us tonight.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Yeah. So we
enough heat?
barely started talking about how you are ice fishing themed. So for somebody who does not know about you, has not met you yet, tell us about yourself and I guess what we're going to talk about here tonight.
So I've been ice fishing since I was a kid. I enjoy it a lot. We get out there, and I've never really got into any tournaments or anything like that. It's just been fishing with, my dad and my brother-in-law would take me out when I was younger. And I love it. And so the whole idea behind Ishackshare came in while we were ice fishing. We were sitting on a frozen lake. We were looking to rent another local shack, on 2 lakes over, northwest, whatever. But to find a shack anywhere other than the larger bodies of water was really challenging. So that's when I started looking, man. We were on the internet looking all over to try and find, Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, anything that you could find a shack listing on. And they were just few and far between. So I saw this as an opportunity to kind of bring that whole room together, and not only the larger bodies of the water have rental shacks, but our goal is to have a rental shack on every lake in the Midwest. So far, we've got a great start. We have shacks listed all the way from Sioux Falls, South Dakota to Mansville, New York, and everywhere in between. So we're getting really excited about our first season.
That is really super exciting. To be honest, I didn't know that was your first season because, you have been doing some really cool stuff at the expos, out talking with people and all of that. And so I feel like there's quite a few people that already kind of know about you and the cool stuff that you're setting up.
It was kind of a love-hate kind of thing. So last year we set it up and we fully expected to be operational for last year. And at the end of the year, The web developer that we were working with just couldn't get it perfect. You know what I mean? And even though we're fishermen, we're not very patient sometimes. Let's be honest. So I wasn't ready to release the original product because it wasn't ready. There were some glitches. There were some things that just were not tolerable for me. So we ended up contracting with a new web developer, a local guy, Packerland Web Developing in Green Bay. And they were tasked with rebuilding this thing from scratch in January. They got us done in August. So we've been promoting the entire time, but now we finally have a product that I can be proud to release. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny because when we talk about your product, you really think of that on the ice stuff, the shack, the rental, all of that stuff. But your product is actually the online piece.
Right. So we are the platform. So think VBRO, think RVZ, outdoorsy, but for ice shacks instead of RVs and for vacation rentals. Again, what I'm hoping is this is a win-win for everybody, right? So not only will this, I believe, bring new people into the space, into the ice fishing arena, which it's been getting more and more popular over the past couple of years. I see a dramatic increase in people that are interested in it. But I'm hoping that it will bring the new people into the industry. It'll get some of the veterans out there that maybe have a little bit of dust on their ice shack. Maybe they'll get it out there again this year and pass some of those traditions and blackberry brandy and some of the other things that we do out in the ice shack, and pass some of that on to new people that might have an interest.
My tradition does not involve blackberry brandy because my relationship with that is 50-50, but teach their own. But you were talking about like shacks that were collecting dust. And actually, I don't know why this is what it made me think of, but I mean, you're making a really great point because there's so many people, ice fishermen out there that have shacks in their garage, in their basement, wherever you keep them. And it's just like a shack. It doesn't have to be old. It doesn't have to be new either, but it's that one that you just cannot get rid of. But you don't seem to use it. Like it's not your go-to shack, but you just can't seem to part with it. Like you're not going to sell it. And so, you need to still air them out. They still need to get that ice fishing love. And so this is a really great way to be utilizing your gear at home that you're otherwise like not using.
For sure. So, and I have a lot of misconceptions when people talk about this. They're like, so do you rent the shack? And I'm like, well, no. But, other people list their shacks on my platform, and then other people can then rent that from them. So we're just connecting host and renter guide series to Uncle Joe down the road. You know what I mean?
Well, the other thing I guess that I'm kind of making the assumption about, and you can tell us more about as well, is, I think some people that think of, Ishackshare and your logo is kind of like the house. That's really cool. Some people think of just those hard-sided shacks. When I am talking about gear over here, and I'm talking about like, see what's in your garage, see what's in your basement. Your hard-sided shack is probably not in your basement. That would be kind of crazy, right? What kind of basement do you have? But what kind of shacks are available that people can be renting? Is it the range of all of those?
Right. Anywhere from, 8-person hub. I have a single hub listed on there right now. So from a single hub all the way up to a huge ice castle that you can spend the weekend in, and anything in between, skid houses and old campers. Like there's all kinds of stuff that are listed on there for, that different customer. Each host is different. They're each offering something different than the next, which is kind of interesting as well, because again, if you're new, you're going to want to find that person that's offering, the holes drilled, everything all set up, heated shack, ready to rock and roll. If you're like us and you have your own equipment and you just you're on vacation in Minnesota and you want to say, hey, I want to try that lake. Let's see if there's something on there. You can go to that lake, find a shack to rent, and hopefully there's one to rent where they kind of throw you the keys and say, have a nice day.
Oh, well, and I guess what you're talking about there really kind of opens up my mind to the opportunities here, because the other thing that I'm thinking is that, like, okay, so you rent a shack, and like in my mind you were having to like tow it out there or set it up or like find fish or all these different things. But I mean, there might even be situations where somebody has their shack out on the ice, maybe the holes are drilled, or maybe there's an auger, available for use there. And so I guess that's a really interesting concept, that it's, obviously self-guided. You're not renting a guide. It's Ishackshare. It's not guide share, right? But there's so many different capacities that you can go out in the shacks.
Right, absolutely. So we want to embrace that community as well, the community of guides out there. And you kind of, as it's listed, you'll list your shack, and then as an additional add-on, fully guided for X amount of dollars, right? So you're not losing anything as a guide, and people are going to rate those people, right? So you're going to get your guides out there that are rated really highly. They put me on fish. I had a great time. They were entertaining. And then you'll have some that are just like, not so much. And the guys that are really out there making their guests feel welcome out there are going to be the ones that'll continuously get rentals.
So, I mean, I guess a really good time. Is there a distinction between like renting a shack and guiding?
So there is a distinction. So as far as a guiding, and based on what I was told by the state of Wisconsin, the DNR, if you're doing any guiding activities, if you're drilling holes, if you're, pointing out spots, if you're setting up poles, if you're baiting hooks, any guiding activity, you need to have the Wisconsin guide license. So typically, and again, it's $40 for a guide license in the state of Wisconsin, so it doesn't really break the bank. Even if you're not out there, guaranteeing fish and hole hopping and finding them with your electronics, you still should probably get a guide license in Wisconsin. But that's different in Minnesota too. That's different in South Dakota.
Well, and those rules sometimes evolve year to year. And so, if guiding is a situation that somebody were interested in, that's certainly something that's worth looking into. But I mean, there is different parts and aspects that go into that. And so guiding isn't for everybody. And quite frankly, it's really a lot of work. So that's what makes this really great option, is that when you can go and like leave your shack out somewhere and have somebody still get use out of it. I mean, that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I don't mean to put you on the spot about this, but one of the things that I want to say we talked about at a show one time is that as far as renting the shack goes, like you may also be able to rent additional equipment. Is that true?
Right. So again, you have the ability as a listing or a host to add additional equipment, whether that be a generator, a extra heater, even up to a side-by-side four-wheeler. All of those things are user-based. So again, that's what's going to make it so interesting, is because every host is going to have different stuff. Personally, I would love to go out and experience a live scope. So if we have somebody listing that has live scope rented or on there, I'm going to go take a look at that, because I've never seen it in action.
That's actually a really interesting point. I mean, I guess I was actually sitting here and I was thinking about the aspect of, if there was gear out there that you were looking to try, if there was a shack, I'm considering purchasing one. It might be a really cool opportunity to rent that instead, or first, to be able to see what it's like. But I guess I never even considered the aspect of like gear rental, like outside of shacks.
Right. Well, and again, I think that's going to be a win-win for the retailers too, the sponsors out there, the people that are kind of backing this idea, and they're getting out there into that genre of people that are getting into something. Like me personally, if I go out and I look at this live scope and it blows me away, I might go out and spend that kind of money on something like that. And I'm going to be looking for, somebody local to go do that.
Wow. To be honest, that's like blowing my mind a little bit. I mean, I guess because, we all see it, but to be able to go out and use something yourself, that really sometimes changes how you feel about equipment. And, a lot of times people have like been so excited about a product or this or that kind of stuff. And then they get it home or they get it onto the ice and they're like, oh my gosh, you know, you can immediately recognize like, this is for me or this is not for me. Oh my goodness, this is so funny. Wait, hold tight. My parents, so I was going to say this at the beginning of the show. This is a perfect actually connection. Ishackshare. We are currently house sharing, shack sharing. With Thanksgiving, we're visiting my parents, so I imagine that you can hear all the dogs down there.
Nice.
They're all coming in now, so that's gonna be funny. We raced home to be here with you guys. So can you still hear us? Okay, beyond the dogs.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay, good. So we were talking about renting that equipment though, and you know that you can tell right away if that equipment is for you or if it's not, and you know that's a pretty amazing thing to be able to rent it and have that experience.
Right, and you have the ability as well to put on a security deposit too. So, I mean, a lot of people ask me that, what's going to protect that? There is a security deposit, and then once you complete that rental, they send the funds to you, and they'll send the refund back to the people that rented it, unless there's an issue where you have to take care of that. And we hope that doesn't happen, but it's there to protect some of the hosts out there.
Well, I mean, it's a really great point because I'm doing a lot of the thinking from the aspect of the renter, you know, and so certainly you go in the mindset of like being gracious and like treating it with respect and hopefully leaving things the same or better than you found them, right? But you know, incidents happen, or the thing about catching fish is like everyone has had that moment where their shack gets really close to the heater. You know, if you have a heater inside, that happens so fast. And so it's great to hear that there are those protections in place for people who are otherwise, you know, allowing the use of their gear.
Yeah. Or you open the zipper to the door and the door flaps open onto the heater and it melts your zipper. Like I've personally experienced once or maybe twice. But yeah, I mean, stuff happens out there, so it's not a bad idea to have a security deposit just to protect your investment. But the other thing about this that is kind of good for the host out there, think about what it costs for people to own a beach property that they rent out on Airbnb or VBRO. That's almost $300,000 at this point if you talk about like minimums out there for a nice place to rent out. So your initial investment into something like that compared to investing into a nice ice castle, you know, even mid-level ice castle, your return on that investment is going to be much faster than a vacation property because you're charging literally just as much as an Airbnb for a day in the ice shack. So your investment is less, you're charging the same, your ROI is just simply better.
And so you were talking before that if you are going to rent or put your gear up, that it is a website that people go to, or is it an app, or tell us more about that.
So it's a mobile-friendly website. We may do an app in the future, but for now, everything displays really well on mobile. So typically what I tell people to do is just take the Chrome website and save it onto your home screen. And there, bada bing, you got an app. You know what I mean? Yeah. But we may come out with an app, but we got to see how we're going to do this first season first and get cracking.
Yeah. Well, and so I know that you've been at quite a few of the expos here. So the people who are signing up, is that something that they are allowed to do like on the website, or is that something that they need to bump into you at an expo to do?
No, you can simply go to the website. In the upper right-hand corner on the mobile, there's a big plus sign. You can hit that, or there's a couple of different ways to do it, but that's the easiest. You hit the big plus sign, and that will bring you through the process of listing a ice shack or a hub or a ice castle. It takes a little bit to go through the process. Josh, I think you might have gone through that a little bit, but it takes a little bit to get through it. But once it's done, it's all done, and it makes a huge difference when you put some really good pictures on there. But yeah, when it's done, it looks great.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I didn't get any pictures up or anything, but yeah, I went through. We have an account set up, and we're ready to rock if we ever want to put something out there. So
Right. And if for an account, you can use that to either list a shack, or if you have an account, you can use that to rent a shack. You can also use that to add to our calendar of events. So if you have some fishing derbies and some other things out there, we'd like to be a hub where people can list all of that all over the Midwest. So if we see something, a cool tournament, in Minnesota or Upper Michigan or something like that we want to attend, it's a good spot for all of that, because right now you can go to the state of Wisconsin, get all of Wisconsin tournaments, but throughout the entire Midwest, I'm not sure if there's anything out there for that.
I like that idea of kind of that information hub. I think that was brought up actually on a different podcast earlier this year, because people are interested in some of those local tournaments, and even though the local tournaments appeal to like local people. I mean, I guess that sounds silly to say it that way, but I mean, it is open as events, to invite people in. So I think a lot of times people are looking to travel, or let's say somebody is a little bit farther south and they don't have good ice and they do want to go and find one of those events. I mean, I think it's a really cool idea to have a board like as a hub of that information.
For sure. Yep. We do have a forum, like an ice forum, something like that. We'll see how that grows. I am actually chatting with a couple of other interested parties about maybe linking with them based on their prowess in that area. We're not through that conversation yet, but I think that might be a really positive thing for us.
Yeah. Well, and while we're talking about the website, and I guess I'm kind of jumping around a little bit now, but you were talking about it's pretty easy to set up the account and all of that. So what are things that people should have ready if they want to help make that an easy process?
If you're an existing business, you want your FEIN ready, because you go through a secure payment provider called Stripe, which the good thing is there's a separation of interest there. So Ishackshare doesn't see any of that financial information. That's all done through a very secure setup through Stripe. But they need information like your FEIN, your social security number, and then you can connect your bank account so that when somebody does rent through Ishackshare.com, that sends that directly to your bank account or to your debit card, whichever way you set that up.
That's really cool.
Speaking of numbers, I'm going to pull in my better half here. Go on over. So you guys remember Tammy?
Hey, Tammy.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
you too.
So Tammy is an integral part of this. She is the numbers girl. She goes through and makes sure that I'm not going too far into debt. But yeah, she's been amazing with this entire process and helps with the shows and gets out there. And I think just like you guys, I think it's amazing that you guys do this and all the shows together, and that's super important, I think, within a good relationship. And I'm super happy to have my better half helping me out with this whole project.
Well, and it was nice to meet you at this past expo. That was actually really fun.
Yes.
It's cool that you both look like you're on ice, but you are not dressed warm enough. Can you rent ice fishing gear, like suits or suits? I guess I think of my suit as a mobile shack, so I almost said suits and shacks. But can you rent a suit yet?
So one of our newest listings, which was the walleye hunter out in New York, he's out on Lake Ontario or Chilmont Bay, and he was talking about some of the walleyes out there being just monstrous. But he is listing some additional items like that. So if you need a suit, he has float suits available.
That's really cool. I mean, I think a lot of times, we've talked about like, oh, try out new gear, this or that. But, the person who doesn't have any gear at all, or maybe you listen to this podcast all the time, maybe you know exactly how to find fish or, catch fish on ice or whatever. But to have the gear to make that all happen. I mean, ice fishing, there's a lot of stuff that you need to get out there, and so, I mean, that's a really cool idea to be able to rent those accessories along the way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And not only that, it makes sense because other people are kind of funding your fishing adventure. You know what I mean? And that was one of the coolest things about what we do is we can get everybody out there to, offer that service and make a few bucks to buy some more goodies.
Well, and it's funny because, Josh and I have talked about this before, and the fact that, like, if we're already going out, we already have, each a one-man shack or whatever. I mean, there is honestly still room on our trailer or sometimes even in our truck. Like if we were just to bring like a hub or another shack with us, like we could set that up. That is something that somebody else can be using. So, I mean, that's cool. The idea that like we could even be there, like, I don't know, not like monitoring our gear. You don't want to hover over somebody, but you're still there. You can put that out like where you're fishing. So that's kind of a neat thing.
Right. We have one listing on Shauna Lake. It's pretty interesting. He's a night fishing specialist, and he likes to target crappies and walleyes at night. And he's got the double Eskimo hub that he sets up in the middle, and he'll set up 4 or 5 other satellite hubs around him. And one's a bathroom, one's got the cots in it with a heater. Like he's got it all set up like Camp Awesome. And you go out to his place and he's serving you chili in the middle of the night while you're fishing for walleyes.
That's really cool. How do I rent that experience? I guess that's a guide.
Yep, he's got a guide license, and he's inexpensive. I think he's like $79 a night to go on fish with him. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, and I guess that's a really great point as well, is, you had mentioned, night fishing. We're on the episode, The Night Bite, but I mean, I think that's something that a lot of people are hearing about on social media. I was going to say these days, this ice season hasn't started. And to be honest, last ice season was pretty crappy ice for a lot of the regions in the Midwest. But I mean, before that, people have been starting to really get into that ice camping, staying out overnight. And so, obviously, if you're in like a hard house, that might be a different situation than, an uninsulated shack. But if you're out there, you can choose the gear that you're looking for. You can try something out. I mean, that's a really cool idea for that ice camping, because otherwise that's a lot to set up and take out there and, keep track of. And so if you can rent some piece of those gear, that's pretty awesome.
For sure. We just got another listing from the show actually in Sioux Falls, and he's out on Big Stone Lake, that right between Minnesota and South Dakota. He's got a deluxe ice castle with like literally everything in it. Then you can rent it for the entire winter.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and I know that you already said this, but like, what a cool idea for guides who, already have shacks out there and they're just maybe not all getting used all the time. Because somebody like us, like we have our own gear, but to go out there, that's pretty great.
Yeah. And you're going to see a price difference too between your better, more well-known guides that have been doing it for 15, 20 years, and they have other sources of booking as well, other than Ishackshare. But that's the experience too. If you're going out there and you're very serious and you want to get on fish, you're going to want to, spend a few extra dollars on that knowledge, that experience. If you're just looking to go out there and party and have a good time and maybe catch fish, then there's that direction too.
That's really funny. Actually, we did hear from a guide not long ago, and they were talking about how people had rented out, the day they had hired them for the day, and they got out to these shacks, and the guys were excited. Hey, they were on fish. This is going to be a great day. And the people had like got to the shack, and they set up like a bunch of tables, and they were playing like cards and different games and stuff, and they just like wanted a day out on the ice with all the friends. And the guides were like, okay, like that's cool. And you're like, you could do that, but like we're catching fish. Like all of our clients have caught fish. Like they were trying to convince these people to catch fish, And I mean, that's like probably a pretty unlikely scenario. Those people were just looking to have that experience, I guess. But I mean, like Ishackshare, this is a much better option for something. I mean, I guess, we're out here thinking ice fishing, and that's perfect. But like, do you have maybe a hockey tournament? Do you have like I don't know, a different ice fishing derby going on, rent that out for the day. And it's just funny because there's more uses for this, I guess, whatever you're doing out on the ice.
For sure. I'm thinking like corporate team building out there, like, and we're hoping to like partner with some of the tournament sites too for our renters, you know what I mean? So each renter participating host can have them sign up for like one of the tournament sites and compete with each other around the Midwest. Or
Yeah. So when you guys go to shows and expos, are there common questions that you get that I have not talked you through yet?
yes, I'm actually working on an FAQ section for the website right now, and a series of how-to videos for listing and that kind of thing, renting the whole 9 yards, because it's almost like, you know, getting a new job and learning a new software. It really is. It's just like all really social media sites. You get in there, you got to learn kind of how it acts and what to do. So our site is no different. So what we're going to do is put out a series of how-to videos and kind of keep them short too, because attention spans are kind of short these days. So we'll keep each section. So if there's an FAQ, like how do I list my shack? So keep that into a short video, have a short text answer, and then say, here, you can click on this video for how to with the screen share.
Cool.
That's really awesome. And so you said that you were working on that. So that's not something that's on the website yet, but that's something that we can be looking forward to.
Yep, and we have contact information on there. We don't have a big call center or anything like that. When you call the number, you're going to get one of us, and we'll be able to walk you through listing or helping you get through any of that stuff as well.
Okay. And I mean, you're making this is like a really great point, because now I'm thinking about it through the eyes of like, what questions would I have, right? But like as a renter, I mean, is it as easy as you're making it sound? Like I can like rent a shack. I show up one day, the shack is set up. I could just fish in it.
Yeah, legitimately, yeah. You go, you pick out your area in which you want to fish, or you can filter it by types of fish that they target. So some hosts are targeting walleyes, some hosts are targeting panfish, some are, you know, big northerns or whatever. You can filter those by those species of fish. You can filter it by size. There's all kinds of filters that you can get into. And then when you find the perfect fish house, you click on the date you want to go and the time that you select. So some of them have like 12-hour spans, some of them have 8-hour periods, and they're priced accordingly. And you just pick out what you want and hit request a book.
And are all of these opportunities so far on public waters, or are any of these on private waters?
So far everything is public. So I guess define public and private. So are you talking like a private pond?
Yeah, I'm just thinking like if somebody's got like a secret like bluegill hole out there, like I'm gonna rent that sooner than later.
Right, for sure. Well, and you have your element of people out there that are like, I would never rent out my shack. I would never give up my secret spot. You know what I mean? And it's not necessarily about the secret spot or anything. Put somebody off your spot, but I think it's more about just introducing people to the sport that I fell in love with like immediately. And a lot of people that I introduced to this are just like, this is awesome. If you can get them out there in the right environment and not just sitting on a bucket freezing their butt off, I think they have a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, that's like kind of a funny point that you're making, though. Like, I mean, I guess because if we're setting up our shack somewhere, maybe it is our secret spot, right? And so I can see why that's a concern that people have. And so, I mean, I guess like hopefully people aren't going out there and just like setting up their secret spot for themselves and then like the worst spot for their rental shack.
Right. Well, that's where the ratings come in.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's where the type of host that you're looking for comes in as far as filtering, right? If I want to go into a host that's going to be like hardcore, we're catching fish, we're hole hopping, we're doing all this, early ice or whatever, I'm going to be able to find that. But if I'm just like the people that you were saying out there playing cards, having fun, that's my family, by the way. It's many people fish their entire lives without knowing it's not the fish they're after, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there's going to be someone out there for everyone, and hopefully it brings a lot of new people into the space.
Yeah. New people, but or people looking for new experiences, because this is also great for somebody who's traveling. Like, let's say that we have like all this gear and stuff, but I want to go and try to fish in Colorado or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing out like somewhere way different for me, somewhere that maybe I would have to fly to, right? Because there's only a certain amount that you can fly with before. I'm not going to fly with a shack. I mean, even my hub, I love my hub, and it compacts like very nicely, but you can't fly with that. And so if you're in a situation, I mean, you can start making these different locations like destinations for traveling.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about that too. So some of the, like, even this guy in New York, I've never fished Ontario Bay. I think that would be super cool to fish like a huge lake, huge body of water like that. Um, just going around and experiencing what people have to offer, I think it'd be really fun.
Yeah. So have you rented a shack yet?
We got our first booking a couple of weeks ago, and that was really exciting. Like, first booking ever. And since then, it's since the temperature has been dropping, the bookings have been coming in, and now we're like, okay, now it's starting to get a little crazy.
So as far as booking goes, or as far as like, are there people out there with ice yet? Are there shacks that are available for rent like right now?
No, not right now. Out of our listings, the bookings that we've had come in right now are like in January. And like, you get into January and February right now, and some of the weekends you can see are starting to get peppered and filled up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I'm ready for hard ice right now. It's 26 degrees right here, I think. So it's making ice right now.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, that was going to be one of my questions, is if you had ice where you were at, because I mean, I think, we came south for Thanksgiving, but there's a lot of people down here that are even dying for ice season. And so, if you're like down here and you hear that there's somewhere available that has ice that's renting that shack out, I mean, that makes a really great destination, because as somebody who's traveling, you have to know that there's enough ice to go and stand on. If you're going to be going trekking all the way out somewhere, I mean, that's a really great opportunity.
Right. And think about the host that's there renting that out. That's their home field advantage right there. They know the ice, they know the safety, they know, the repetition or the pattern from their experience. You know what I mean? So that's a really good resource to lean on.
Well, and exactly like what you were saying before, especially people who are new to the sport, it can be really, I was going to say daunting, I was going to say scary, to trek out onto that ice for the first time, because using a spud bar or having a float suiter, I mean, there's so many pieces just to going out onto the ice. And so, maybe to have somebody there that, I don't want to say guides you, because we were talking about how it's not a guide situation, but somebody that can at least show you how to get out of the ice, or the best way to do that, that's really a great start to the day.
Right, or explaining to people why you have to have the window open and the seatbelt unlocked.
Yeah, if you're driving out there, if there's enough ice for that, that's awesome. So you don't have ice quite yet, but you're in central Wisconsin. So, I mean, I guess with all of this business hitting the ground, are you going to have time to be ice fishing this year?
I hope to be on the ice all season. I want to be out promoting and going to a lot of different tournaments this year. We're doing the Duluth show as well as the Wisconsin show, which is the same weekend. It's going to be crazy to be in two places at once, but I have some family that are going to help me out with that and man some of the booths.
Which expo are you going to be at?
I will be at Duluth. So I had to talk my cousin or my nephew into this, and he just had a little baby, and my sister lives in Neenah, so it's close enough for him to have a babysitter while he goes to do the expo. So,
oh my gosh, bring the baby.
For sure.
Just get him on the ice right away.
my nephew, my dad's going to be in Oshkosh. My sister and my daughter will also be attending Oshkosh and rocking it down there.
That's cool. And do you have any of your on ice events planned yet?
Not on my events page yet. We just got a couple of submissions, so we're going to start listing all of the derbies that we can possibly list on there all over. So again, let your audience know if they have a derby or anything that they want to list on there for a winter or ice event. Come on and list it on there. We'd be happy to display it for all of our audience and our community.
That's really cool. I know that as people see this and as the season goes on, that's something that can definitely be added to, because honestly, I think especially for some of the local derbies that happen, those are still being planned right now. You were talking about some of these events or some of these rental situations that we're looking out to February, January, whatever. Those are more consistent times, but people may still be planning those events. So that's a really cool thing to be able to have, a space to go and reference and keep up with all of that.
Yeah, we're going to be attending the Badgerland Kids Classic again this year, and we actually have a handful of our hosts that are donating their shacks to a new angler. Right, this is a kids tournament, so if parents have a new angler they want to bring out, we have hosts that are willing to donate their shacks for the day to give them that experience and the electronics and the underwater cameras and stuff like that. So that's going to be a really good time. Last year it was really close. We almost did not have the tournament. We were still able to host about, I think, 3 families last year, and then this year we're hoping to do 8. So if they're new to angling, they come to the kids tournament. Everything's free, and they have the ability to come out and get with somebody that's experienced and hopefully put them on fish.
That's really cool. So before, I'm kind of putting you on the spot right now, I'm sorry. Before the show, you had kind of asked about if you were able to put things on the screen. Did we cover those things, or did you still have things that you wanted to show us there?
So I'll give this a try, and you can let me know if you can see my.
We may have to switch our screen orientation, so let us know when you're ready, and we might have to switch it.
All right, so I'm ready when you are.
It should be.
Yeah, the first time it popped up really easy. This time it didn't pop up. Let's try one more time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hold on. We're on mobile today because we are at Thanksgiving with my family. Oh no, I can't get it.
Okay, well that's okay. So I just wanted to kind of scroll through the website a little bit with you guys and kind of show you that. But anybody that's on and hearing my voice, go to Ishackshare.com. Check us out. Check out a lot of the new listings that we have on there. And if you have an ice shack that's collecting dust, or you want to contribute to the idea, list your ice shack on Ishackshare.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And for people who still have questions, for people who, I don't know, are interested or excited or nervous, these expos are going to be a great place to come and, ask those questions or talk through those things, because it's not always that you have that expert right in front of you that you're able to just connect with.
Yeah, and again, we have a TV that goes to our expos and to our booths as well. So we actually display the site on there. We show them different types of listings that they can see the amenities, see what's included, see how big they are, browse the pictures, that kind of stuff on a larger screen. It gives us the ability to really kind of kick in and show them all of the locations that we have listings so far. And having that visual is much better than last year when I was kind of didn't have what I wanted to show.
I mean, that's all the growth about it, though, is, you've talked about, you've had even kind of new websites since then. So that's a really cool opportunity to be able to be here this year with that new technology, to be able to show that to people. So that's really great addition for the year.
They got a really, really intuitive dashboard for the payment provider for Stripe that connects to the site. So it shows you how many times it's been rented, like all of your earnings. Like there's so many metrics that you can do within that, but it's still easy. It's like a easy to use dashboard, but it shows you everything about, the history of your rental all the way through. So it keeps really good records for you.
That's really cool. So as far as Ishackshare, what have we missed?
So we got our calendar, we got our forum, rentals, hosting, our contact us page, sponsorships. So we'll have listings all over the Midwest, and that means that we have a lot of local sponsorships from the lakes that we have listings on. Around every lake, there's going to be a bar, a restaurant, a bait shop. So we've been spending a lot of time on the road between Sioux Falls, and right after Sioux Falls, I went to Minneapolis. And so a lot of windshield time and talking to different bait shops and bait manufacturers. And so we got a few sponsors on there. Mags, Custom Rods, they were able to, they believed in our idea at Sioux Falls, and they were like, we want to sponsor you. So that was awesome. And then Automatic Fisherman, he was there. The bait loader, you guys had the Waxy Wizard, the bait loader, on your show a couple of weeks ago. So we met him out at Sioux Falls, and he's on board with the idea as well. So we're just collecting sponsors and people that can help us kind of make the best of this platform and this forum, and get information out to everybody, and make it a really user-friendly platform for everybody involved.
Well, that is super cool. And I guess hearing that part of the story makes us really excited to be at that expo. All the expos that are coming up, to be honest. And normally Wisconsin Fishing Expo, normally we have the banner right here, but we're traveling, and so we don't have a green screen on, which is really funny. But we are excited for that, and we're excited to see you guys. Well, I guess at both the shows that you'll be going to.
Right. I wish I could come down to the Wisconsin show this year, but we booked both of them, and we're like, just kind of had to plan it out, and that's the way the chips fell. But I was really looking forward to coming down to that's my home area, right? So I grew up in Appleton, right by Outagamie County Airport, and I spent a lot of time down in Neenah and Asha in that area fishing. So I wish I could make that show, but for now, you guys are just going to have to deal with my dad and my nephew.
Well, and as long as everybody else is excited as we are, I think we would be hoping to have Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo year 2. So there's always next year that you can join us.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh my goodness, that is awesome. So as far as this evening, I don't know what else I missed. Anything?
No, I think we covered most of it. We went through almost all the tabs on the page. Like Emily said, we apologize that we couldn't get the stuff up on the screen, but it's a really easy website to go utilize. Like I said, if you set up an account on any other website, it's very similar. Only on this one you can make some money on. So go check it out.
Fund your fishing obsession.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. And with that, I appreciate that you're here tonight to talk with us about all of this stuff. Gets us really excited for ice season coming up. And we are just hoping now for that cold weather to keep on coming.
Mm-hmm.
You guys were some of the first people that I really was introduced to in this industry, in this setup, when I got more into the commercial side of things. And I appreciate all the stuff that you guys have done to kind of help me out, and even with the Razor Ice Auger, which was awesome. I originally got that, and I wasn't sure quite how to work it, and you ended up coming out and showing me with the wings and getting me all set up. So I really appreciate you guys. We proudly display Crappie Junction on Ishackshare.com as one of the companies we love and recommend. So thanks a lot for you guys. Some of the other guys out there that are helping us with the shows, Big Mouth Baits out of Wisconsin Rapids, and one that you guys might know, Limit Out Baits out of Anago.
Oh,
So those guys were offering us some some plastics out there. So at the shows, we have our Plinko game we call Shakalaka instead of Plinko, and we have our prize wheel. So we're going to be giving out some big mouth bait plastics, and we're going to be giving out some of the limit out bait plastics as well, thanks to those two companies.
That's super cool. Super cool. Well, and we're looking forward to bumping into you on the ice this year.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah. Let me know. I'll be out there all the time.
Awesome. And to the people at home, thank you guys for tuning in as well, because that is always a huge piece of the fun. And to everybody that we didn't see here tonight, hopefully we see you out on the ice.
Night, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.